Hey there, everyone. Good evening. Paul Treloar here. Glad to see you guys on board and really appreciate the time you guys have taken to join me. Just before we get into it, I'd love you guys to throw in some comments just to make sure you can hear me loud and clear and that you've got the screen. So if you could throw a yes into the comment box or something like that, just so I can make sure I've got you and that you guys can hear me and we can pretty much get started. Hey guys, thanks. Perfect. That's good. Coming through loud and clear. Fantastic. I don't use the webinar platform very often, so I'm a little bit concerned about mistakes, but we'll get there. We'll get there at the end. So thanks for your feedback. So obviously you've jumped on today, and the purpose of the webinar is obviously, a little bit about mastering your time. So as you can see, how to master your time so you can grow your business and income without sacrificing your lifestyle. And I'm pretty confident that most of you online at the moment are keen on that. That's something that's spiked in interest, and isn't it what we're always trying to do? So, look at managing time, managing lifestyle. So, it's something that throughout my career and my life that I've struggled with, and I'm going to tell you about that as we go through this today, and hopefully we can really. I'm very confident actually we'll add you a lot of value over the next 60 minutes, and I'll try and keep as on track as possible. There's a few of you on there that I know some of you guys, and you guys know that I tend to talk a little bit more than I should sometimes when I get on a roll, so I'll try and keep that in check for you guys. So again, just lastly, hey, thanks for joining me, and yeah, I'm really quite excited to present this to you guys today. So the webinar, basically, who's this for? So the webinar for you guys, if you feel like you're lost or you're not sure of your direction, so that's either business or it's personal. If you're just not really sure where you're going at the moment, and be really keen to hear how many of you are in this situation at the moment. If you're on track, you thought you knew what life was all about, and now you're not quite really sure, or you've had something happen in your life or a change, or you've just really felt like you haven't had huge amounts of direction. You're on, I wouldn't say autopilot, but you're just the worker ant, just doing the day and rinse and repeat Groundhog Day. So it may also be for you if you're sick and tired of being chained to your work. If you're an employee or even an employer or a small business or a medium business owner, and you just feel like your whole day you set out when you got started and wanted to start doing what you're doing, and suddenly it feels like all the reasons that you started for have disappeared, and now you're out there and you just feel like you're chained to your work, you can't get away from it, and no matter what you do, it's just invading your life and taking you away from that magical lifestyle that you're changing. You may want to grow your business, as I just said, but you don't want to sacrifice that lifestyle. So many people out there get into business with the vision of creating this compelling life and then get consumed by the business and consumed by, if you're an entrepreneurial type, you get consumed by the amazing opportunities that come at you and the good ideas that you have, and it can sometimes become very, very overwhelming to the point where we get no growth or no direction forward. And I deal with a lot of bigger companies who do this, something very, very similar, and they might be being very, very successful in their business, but I call it successfully stuck, and they just don't know where to go next. The numbers might be okay, but they're just lacking direction. So it's also for you if you want to create a better life for you and your family and you don't want to work yourself to death. Look, guys, how many of you out there really this resonates and this hits home to you guys? We all dream of this lifestyle, and we seem to see other people doing it but not being able to do it ourselves, and every time we take on a new activity or do something new, all we end up doing is chunking out a little bit more of our time, so we're left with less time than what we thought that we were going to get out of the deal, and again we go back to the start. We're chained to our work. If you're sick and tired of the day-to-day stress, and we're going to hit on this a little bit later and how this comes about, but quite often it's the pain of feeling like the days just merge together, and no matter what you do, no matter what your focus is, that things seem to bombard you like someone out there taking just daily asteroids, and it seems to be so much, so many things coming at you, and I guess, they're impacting you. They're impacting you in a way, and it stacks. It does something that we call stacking. Is, you know, have you ever had an explosion where something little just sent you way off over the edge? And quite often that's from something that we do called stacking, and that's when these little things keep impacting and impacting and impacting, and then suddenly, you know, the littlest thing sets us off, and it's like the world is about to end. You know, and that's where you are. If you're sick and tired of that day-to-day stress, eventually you're going to get to that point where it's going to get out of control. You also, for you guys, which I know pretty much everyone online wants to do this, you want to eliminate your to-do list. Take control of your time and really manage your lifestyle. And this is a big thing that people sometimes think that they can't do, but absolutely I'm going to show you in the next 60 minutes that you can do this. And this is just about being smart and very, very clear on your focus and what you want to do. So I want to tell you a little bit, for you guys who don't know me, is what sort of led me to this email. This is, you know, look, we'll go through this really, really quickly. This is just about me. So showing my age, I left school in 1989. That was middle of year 10 for me. I started an apprenticeship, and I had a family value system or a belief system that said money was hard work was the only way to go. And for me, that meant multiple jobs. So I started my apprenticeship when I was 16 and worked right through. Eventually, I joined the military in 1995. Even through that time, as much as I love the military, I've always had this nagging drive just for more. I wasn't really sure what it was, but I always had this question about, I know there's more. There's got to be more. There's something here. I just don't know what it is. And it took me a long time to find that, find out what it was. But I reckon there's a few of you on this webinar today who might be in the same position, that you just want more and you're just not quite there yet, or you're not sure of what the path is or what you need to take. I thought that working 3 jobs was the answer, and I genuinely worked 3 jobs for quite a few years, and as you can imagine, it wasn't so clear to me at the time, but in reflection, it was not the answer, and it just ate up my time. But again, this comes from the family value system of just, hard work and you will eventually get there. So I certainly don't disagree with the hard work will help you get there, but working 3 jobs and having no time and no satisfaction in life is definitely not the way to go. So quite a few years ago, I'd always been learning, but I invested really heavily in personal development and growth. I came in, I'd always been working for other people, and back in 2002 was about the first journey where I started my own business and worked for myself. And during that journey was that huge amount of investment in personal development and growth, and that's a lot of business development and mindset as well, and learning new strategies and structures. So over that period of time, I've had the honor of learning from some of the best that are currently available, and I'll cover those off in a minute as well. But we've had some really amazing opportunities, and I can confidently say that now I manage my time and what I do without stress, without a whole lot of stress of actually what's going on and being impacted or inflicted by a lot of those things. I do enjoy a good life balance. I do work a lot, and I'm very, very passionate about what I do. Otherwise, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But I have a great, I believe I have a great, balance in enjoying my time, and a little bit more on what I've done. Back in 2011, at the end of 2011, we sold a business, 2.65 million. It's got a purchase price there of 3 million. It was a bit of a different deal. We wrote that down and did some creative accounting, but it was based on that number. These are some of the companies that I currently have. So TNL Global, the Luxury Network, which is a luxury branding company in Brisbane. I obviously work on my own brand, and top left corner is a digital company, digital asset group. And I've spent a significant amount of time, I said earlier, just working with a lot of other people who have been very influential in my life, both as mentors and business partners, and really good opportunities. And it's helped me work with a lot of other people to help them, achieve abundance in their life. And I'd ask you now to think about what that abundance is that you're looking for. Is it, you know, it's not always just a financial position. However, I do understand that that has a lot of impact sometimes. Over the years, I've spent time with Tony Robbins. I was in the Tony Robbins Platinum Partners group, and during that time alone, you know, I was exposed to and spent a lot of time with some amazing people that I could never imagine being in the same room with, let alone having discussions. You know, we had for the likes of Steve Forbes. For anyone who doesn't know what Steve Forbes is, he's an incredible, not only incredibly wealthy, but incredibly smart man, has been for many, many years, Forbes magazine. We spent a week with him learning the ins and outs of investing and what he does for personal development and diversification. And I've obviously spent a lot of time learning from experts on time management. So I've been fortunate enough to get some really good exposure. So, you know, that's been really important. One of the things that I really enjoy doing is help people get clear, and that's consistently helping people get clear on what their life looks like and literally helping them live it every day, rather than, you know, sometimes we forget about the journey. We forget that the journey is what's important, and not just the end result. And I can speak from personal experience that at some point I've been most certainly responsible for doing the same thing. So I'm going to highlight this, and there's going to be a few things in this webinar over the next hour that I'm going to come back to, and you might see them in here twice, and that's because I think that they're really, really relevant. This is just a refresher. There's a couple of companies there. I also work with Audi and Maserati and Bentley and places like that. I threw in a holiday because people think I work and don't take holidays. So that's a place we stayed in the Maldives, which was exceptional. There's another picture up here actually, which is pretty cool because it shows me with dark hair. But look, I wanted to give a few testimonials, I guess, and I won't run through them all, but I've got a couple here, and this is just about a few other people who have gone through this process with me, and some feedback. And you know, that's I won't read all of this to you. That's Shane Squire and Alan Green there, who spent some time with me, and just highlight that, you know, they felt that they went through this process and it gave them something that they could implement straight away. And you know, after their time, they knew exactly what they wanted to and how to do it. And that's critically important. Is that I don't want to deliver you something today that sounds good but isn't practical. I want to deliver you something that you can walk away with and go, wow, that's been valuable. And if I just go and do this part and this part, I'll get a great result. This is Kurt and Catherine Simpson, and I asked Kurt when I did some work with him for a bit of feedback on what he thought, and he wrote me this novel. So I took the liberty, as you can see there, of just highlighting a couple of points that I thought were really, really relevant, because this is more about the overall balance rather than just thinking about business. So, you know, Kurt says his relationships with his wife and daughter are better. He feels less stressed. He sees his friends and family more, and he's more productive in his business. He goes on to say that, to be honest, I haven't even yet implemented everything we went over in Map Mastery, and I'm still operating on another level of productivity than before. It's pretty powerful. He also said, I was not, however, expecting the content and delivery to be a quarter as in-depth and transformative as it was. So, as you can see, some other people, you know, have gone through this process as well and really believe the value, which is why I'm so confident in what we're delivering to you today. So, I wanted to pull up some interesting facts. You may have heard some of these before. It's not something I'd normally do, but you know, you look at the numbers here. So, science says 92% of people don't achieve their goals. I don't think there's anyone on the webinar who's not really too surprised with that fact. You know, look, most people don't set goals, let alone achieve goals, and there's good reason for that, and we can cover off, you know, in that today. So, the average person uses 13 different methods to control and manage their time. That's an interesting one, but the one that I love is the next fact, and it's the average person gets one interruption every 8 minutes, or approximately 7 in an hour, which is 50 to 60 per day. The average interruption takes 5 minutes, totaling about 4 hours, or 50% of the average workday. Listen to this, 80% of those interruptions are typically rated as little value or no value, which creates approximately 3 hours of wasted time per day. So that equates to 20% of the average workday is spent on crucial and important things, while 80% of the average workday is spent on things that have little value or no value. And I'm going to get into a bit of content as we work through this presentation. And I want to highlight this for you now because we're going to come back to it. We're not physically going to come back, but we are going to literally come back and have a talk about it because this is really, really important. Because we're going to talk about time targets. So I just want you to write that down. Hopefully, I didn't mention that. Hopefully you guys have got a pen and paper and you are jotting your notes down. So we want to talk about time targets. So we'll come back to them soon. So, oh, sorry, I left one off there. It takes approximately, also very critical that I highlighted that it takes approximately 30 days to establish a new physical or emotional habit. That's an official study done by Donald Wetmore. I should say that in there. Just some more photos of me. Here's the one down the bottom left-hand corner of me when I was much younger. I'm just looking at that now. I'm sure there's grey hair in there. You just can't see it from long distance. And recently, those guys who know me know that we just did a big fundraising activity to the Great Wall of China to raise funds for Cancer Council. That's me and my wife down the bottom there about to embark on the Great Wall of China. Funny story with my leggings, in case you're all thinking about it. We got a brief. We were told that it was going to be mid-20s, and I got over there, and the high temperature for a week was 6 degrees. So I had to shop. I had to shop, and found myself a pair of XXX pants, which was still too small for me, and that's what I wore for 6 days of trekking on the Great Wall. What a great story. Top right, that's me with Jay Abraham, business partner. I said I've been fortunate of being exposed to and learning from some of the best. This man is one of the best business strategists of all time. He's an extraordinary man. So, yeah, you know, some other stuff there, just me, some write-ups and stuff, which is cool. But let's get into it. I wanted to go through the process with you, and here's exactly what I want to run through with you today. So, effectively, I've created this down into 5 steps. Obviously, you can see them here. Step number 1 is understanding goal setting. I'm going to cover these really quickly at this point, and then we're going to come back to them and be more in depth as we go along. Step 2 of the process is learning about what's stopping you. So I'm going to refer to this a little bit later when we talk about belief systems and things like this. But I want you to be able to learn and identify what's actually stopping you from getting outcomes that you're chasing now. I want you to see where you really are. That's pretty self-explanatory, that one, but we'll go through that again. Something that's really, really important to me is belief systems and understanding your belief systems and your value chain. So we're going to break those down in great detail. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we're going to go through and actually create your massive action plan. And that's where you're going to put things down. Understand these 5 steps in the process, but ultimately what you'll end up with was a really, really easy way to decipher your massive action plan. So if you guys are all ready to jump straight in, let's do that now. I want to talk about understanding goal setting. So there's a lot more here, and I sort of want to ask questions, and I'd ask you to engage, even if it's just in the back of your head, or to yourself or your thought process, or send some comments in or whatever you want. And I should say that I'll get to comments. I will get to them at the end, and for those who want to stick around, we will spend some good time going through your questions and comments at the end. But I want you to ask yourself, are you thinking big enough? Like, are you thinking big enough about what you want in life, or are you thinking quite restricted? And I think you'll find a lot of people think really, really restricted. I want you to ask yourself and write down, what was the last goal you set? Big or little, but a goal you set for yourself. We're also going to cover in this step creating your compelling vision. These next two, creating your compelling vision and knowing your why. I've got, how much do you want it, which is what we call your why, or I might refer to it today as your purpose. These things are critical. I want you to really, really take notice of these and write this sort of stuff down. We're going to identify what you really, really want. And last but not least, when we're goal setting, it's really important to be specific. We don't want to be a ship at sea sailing. I mean, if you don't have a compass, if you haven't set a course, you're going to get somewhere, but who knows where it will be. You just running it to chance, running it on luck, and I don't want you to do that. So I mentioned about, are you thinking big enough? I want you to think big. I want you to, but a lot of people think, I mean, it sounds pretty basic, Paul, think big, I know that, but people are very, very restrictive, because you'll have this little thing and we're going to cover this later, called gremlins and in your thought processes, and it may also fall under the limiting beliefs category, but you have these things going on in the back of your head that when you put something out that, yeah, I'm going to do this or I'm going to achieve that, that what happens is you have something that tells you a little story, and it gives you a justification of why you can't do that, why you can't achieve, why you can't get that result, why that's too big for you, why you're not pushing yourself. So I want you to think about, when we talk about the last goal you set, how big was it? And I want to challenge you now to go back and think about the biggest goal that you've set. I want you to think about if you achieved it, what you did to achieve it, why you achieved it, or list off the reasons that you didn't achieve it. So I'm giving you a lot to do there. I know I don't expect you to write all that down, but most importantly, part of this process is not about being restrictive. I want you to think like nobody's going to see this. And it's important to know that too. Your goals, your thought processes aren't necessarily meant to be for public knowledge. They're not going to be put up on the internet and posted out there, unless you choose to do that, of course, and I'd be recommending that you don't, because there's more conversations about that we can have later. But what I want you to do is, I want you to get something that you're not comfortable with. I don't want you setting a goal that you go, yeah, I can get that. Yeah, I'll do that. That's pretty easy. I want you setting goals and creating processes that are challenging, that they push you way outside your comfort zone. You've probably heard it before, and it's something I say often, that all the magic happens outside of your comfort zone. And I want you guys, when you talk about your goals and what you're looking at developing, or what your life looks like, you know, you've got an opportunity here to create a masterpiece. Think of yourself as a painter in front of a blank canvas. You may have painted 50 to 100 or 1,000 paintings in the past. None of them matter. They don't impact what you put next. Your opportunity to choose what happens tomorrow, what happens in your life, what you create, you know, what you put on that canvas is now. And you have that opportunity every day. I don't want you guys to think restrictive about, you know, the things that you tried in the past that didn't work. They're just really, really good opportunities where hopefully you've learned a lesson and potentially learned one way not to do something, and we can move on and we can try again. So really hit home on those couple of things about thinking big enough. Really be unrestrictive. When you come to creating your compelling vision, and if I'm rushing over any of this, it's because I'm doubling up, and we are getting into it later as well. But your compelling vision needs to be what your life looks like, or think of a category. Think of your job, think of your relationship, think of your marriage or your family life, or your finances, or your career, or your wealth. You know, all the different words that you might put to it. Your physical condition, your health and your nutrition, your general relationships. You know, think of all of those things that go on in your life. And for each of those areas, we need to create a compelling vision. And the compelling vision is something that when you close your eyes, you can see it. Now, more important than that, when you see it, it needs to be obviously compelling. Otherwise, you know, if I create a vision that is the same today as what it was yesterday, I'm probably going to rinse and repeat what I've just done. I want you to create a vision that is inspirational in the sense that you can see that you want it. It have to have enough purpose, enough passion that's going to drive you forward. And this is where a lot of people fail, not only in understanding how to create areas of time management in their life, but their businesses. You know, they go into business with an expectation, but they don't really understand a vision. So we have to create a really compelling vision of what you want to achieve and what it looks like. And then, more importantly, we have to become emotional. So we need to think about what we feel when we see that vision. If we were to close our eyes and sit down and think about how our life looks in 6 months or 12 months or 18 or 2 years or whatever that time frame may be, we want to be in a position where we can feel it, where we can feel the emotion. Because that's the first part of our process for subconsciously us believing it. And to believe it is critical. We must be able to believe. People asked me the other day, I was doing something, they said, what's the one thing about personal development that you think is the most important? And I can't really put a handle on that, but what I did come up with was you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have that belief system, and you've got to continually keep searching for that belief system. So it's really, really important. So on your compelling vision, it must be A, compelling, B, it must be loaded with emotion. You must be able to see it, you must be able to feel it, and most importantly, you must believe it. It's okay if it challenges you. It's okay if it is a little bit frightening or a little bit scares you, or you have this thought process that says, you know what, I don't think I can get there. There's some reason that I may not be able to do that. That's all okay, but that's absolutely no reason not to put it down on paper. So this is part of your process where you've got to write your compelling vision. I don't want you to think that you are, chiseling this in stone and that it's permanent. This is something that's happening now, and we can edit and we can adjust, but I just don't want you to be restrictive in your vision. The next part of that with your vision planning is you must know why. So if I can give you the difference between your vision and your why, and this is where I said before, I'll probably call this your purpose. Your vision is what it looks like, and your why, very simply, is the reason that you're doing it. So if you want to create a significant amount of wealth in your life so that you can contribute back to somebody or family or the general public or friends or whatever it may be, you want to create this ultimate lifestyle for the people around you, that's your why. And just like your vision, it needs to be emotional. When you're writing this down and you say, look, I want to be able to earn, $100,000 a year more than what I am now, and if I earned that amount, this is what my life would look like, and I do this, this, and this. But then we want to know why you would do that and how that would make you feel. And you might want to contribute to somebody who's not had the the success that you've had, or you might want to chip in and get somebody started. And you need to know, you need to go back to a point where you know that how this is going to feel for you to do that, for you to give to them, to you to be able to provide for your family. Or it might simply be a level of success that you want to achieve for something, personally, that you desire or that you drive. But your why and your vision are really critically important. So I'm just going to rehash that your vision needs to be compelling, and your why or your purpose also needs to be very, very emotional. You need to understand why you're doing that. So I'd encourage you to spend a lot of time on that. I mentioned about being specific. Most of you may have heard this acronym before, the SMART acronym. I put it up there just because I like talking about specifics. I don't really kind of agree with this one, but that's okay. It's all okay. It's not. There's nothing bad in there. I'm just not a fan of the reasonable, the acronym for the R. I don't like setting reasonable goals. And now when they put this together, that's not really what they thought about, just setting reasonable goals. It was reasonably achievable in a specific time frame. But what I want you guys to do is you've got to be, you definitely need to be specific in your goals, and you must create enough detail. So I'm going to come back to that. It must align with your vision and your why. If you set a goal that says, I want to earn $1 million in the next 3 days, or whatever your goal may be, and however big it may be, but it doesn't really align or motivate you with your purpose. If your goal is to make a significant amount of money, but your vision and your purpose is to live the life of a hermit, or live out there in the scrub and never spend a cent, never do anything, and never contribute to people, I might suggest that they may be conflicting. Is that you're driving for something that doesn't match with your vision or the values that you're trying to create, and it's likely that you'll never achieve it. And that's not because you're not capable, it's because it's inconsistent with what you really want. And it's important, as I said, to be very, very detailed with your vision, because that's the driver. If you're trying to achieve something that doesn't align with the outcome or the vision, then it's unlikely that you'll ever have the motivation to follow through. If you've ever set a goal and not achieved it, I would dare say that that's probably the reason why. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But your goal must be specific. Now, we're going to get into this in a moment, but every category in your life, I just talked about a few before, and we will go into it shortly, they're going to have a vision and they're going to have a purpose. And likewise, you need to start setting some goals in these categories. And that's going to be your homework over the next few weeks, is to create, a vision and a purpose for each of these categories and areas of your life, as long as goals and outcomes and a few other things that I've got lined up for you guys. So it's really, really important that if I could put it this way, and you talk about an outcome needs to be so specific that, you know, if you said to me, my outcome is that in, you know, 12 months time, I'm going to be, you know, earning X amount of dollars, and I can go and live the most amazing lifestyle. I would say that's throwing mud at a wall. I would say we need to be more specific when you say, how much money do you want to earn? What date is that 12 months from now? What time on that day? Is it a Tuesday? Is it a Wednesday? Let's look at the calendar. Let's make it real. Let's say at, you know, 1 p.m. on Thursday, the, you know, 20th of, what month are we now? We're March. 20th of March next year, I'm going to have achieved an additional $100,000 in yearly revenue. And when I've done that, I'm going to celebrate with a glass of this, sitting on the beach at Magnetic Island. I'm not sure why you'd go there, but Maggie Island or wherever you're going to go, I'm going to be with this person. This is how I'm going to feel, bathing in the success of knowing what I've achieved. And I'm going to, you know, I'm going to celebrate with myself. And when I've achieved that, I'm going to do this with the money. I'm going to put it in that position. So when I talk about being specific, that's how specific each of your goals must be. They've got to be so detailed that we start to see it and feel it and think it emotionally, like I was talking about before. So that's step one of the process. We're going to move straight in because I'm talking way too much and I'm never going to be done in 60 minutes. So step two of the process is to learn what's stopping you. This can be so many different things, and we're all really good at this. We're all really, really good at finding things to stop us getting living the life that we want. So we're going to go in and talk about a few things here. I'll run you through first pleasure and pain. We're going to talk about those a lot. Fear, failing to plan. Sorry, I should bring these up for you. I had a bit of a snooze there. So failing to plan. A lot of people, as we saw about in those stats before, don't even have a plan, let alone work on achieving them. As I just mentioned, what you're doing may be very, very inconsistent with the goals and the life that you actually want to lead or live. I'd ask, who's holding you back? Is it you? Quite possibly. That's an open question. I'd ask you to think about the stories that you're telling yourself, and I'm going to go through those as well, just so that you don't come back to me and say I'm not telling myself anything, because no matter how much training you do, you'll always be telling yourself a story, and I am as well. So, and the last one is probably lack of motivation. And lack of motivation is easy when we're completely inconsistent with what we're trying to achieve. So pleasure and pain, I want to quickly just highlight that for a moment. And pleasure and pain is something that, our brain is very, very old. So think of us as a caveman, whether you believe that or not. Put yourself in that position and say, yeah, okay, I'm a caveman. And what am I looking for? Our brain is based on moving away from fear, but also, anything that may inflict or feel pain. So we have this natural progression towards looking for pain. Now, the beauty of pain is, if I put it this way, think about the goal, and I talked about vision, and I talked about making your goal really emotional and really pleasurable and really compelling, along with thinking it and feeling it. So let's say you've got that down pat, but then you have this piece of you that says, but if I don't achieve, or what if I go after this goal and I fail, and then you start telling yourself stories about what's everyone going to think if I put myself out there and said I'm going to achieve this, and I had X amount of dollars because I made myself accountable. I said I'm going to make this much money and I'm going to do this with it. And if I don't achieve it, how am I going to look? And sometimes what we do is we create this level of pain that is more painful than what we think the pleasure will be. So it stops us from moving forward. It stops us from taking any action at all. And that can be, some of that can be fear. But I want you to think about the things, and these are all tools that you can use when you're talking about or you're embarked on a situation in your life. If it's pleasure or if it's pain, I want you to think about, have I got more pleasure in this situation? Am I moving towards something and away from it because of the pleasure, or am I not doing it because of the pain? Now just remember as well that pain can be a motivation. Like I'm sure we've all had relationships, and I don't mean intimate relationships, just relationships in general, that sometimes we get to a point in a relationship where we should have have been long gone, but we hung in there. But then one day we just get to that point where it's like, no, I'm done. Like, it's really at that point, the pain becomes so intense that it forces us to take action. It forces us to move. And not that I want you to all go out and exit a relationship, but what I'm saying is a pain can be a driver as well. Most times if you have pleasure and pain together, pain will be the significant driver. So if pain is stopping you taking action, we need to remove it, overcome it, or find more pleasure. So I want to talk about fear. I really just talked about fear, that our brain is, primed to look for fear. It's there. I'm not saying avoid fear, disregard fear. Don't listen to it when your brain pops up a little, red flashing light that says warning. Fear is there for a reason. It's there to protect us. I want you to think about that being there for a reason, but I also want you to have a conversation with yourself about whether it's justified, whether it's there for the right reason, or whether it's just, that little part of me justifying why I'm not going to take any action and do something. So fear has a purpose, but we need to question it. We don't want to let it control us. I talked before about those voices and those gremlins, and that's what I refer them to from what I've learned is about the gremlin. It's that little voice in your head that says, you know what, yeah, Paul, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you will get that result. I don't think you're good enough to do that. And then we'll start providing these justifications about, you remember that time you said you were going to do that and you didn't do that. And you remember that other time, so it's probably really unlikely that you're going to achieve this or get the result, or you'll flunk, you'll fall out, so we may as well not start. That's a gremlin, because there's absolutely nothing in your past stopping you from taking action and moving forward in your life. So what I want you to do with those gremlins, as I've got there, is listen to them, listen to the fear, acknowledge them, and move forward. Failing to plan was a big one. Why do we fail to plan? Because quite often our plans are inconsistent with our vision. Our outcomes are inconsistent with our vision and our purpose. They're inconsistent with the real reasons that we want to do something, and quite often they're inconsistent because we haven't gone through the process or taken the time to actually understand what they are, which is what you guys just went through earlier about understanding vision. So sometimes we plan but we don't follow through. We may have a lack in motivation, and I would say we never have a lack in resources, but most times we have a lack of motivation. Sometimes our cultures, or what we call our anchors, are what hold us back. They're the belief systems that we've grown up with about why why money, those people who have money are always arrogant, or they're this or they're that, or we've never had money. We've always grown up poor, so we've never really had money. So, we don't need the flashy car, we don't need the nice lifestyle. We can, we're doing fine. We can get by as we are. So there's a lot of cultural information that we can anchor us to our position and create and provide all of these justifications for us to stay where we are, basically. And sometimes you've just never been shown how. So the beauty of today is that I'm showing you a lot of these things that might be holding you back. You notice at the top here I've got who is holding you back, not just what is holding you back. So we talk about beliefs, and we've already touched on limiting beliefs and the things that might be popping through your head at any particular point in time. It's much like your gremlins. It's those handed down beliefs from family that we do things that sometimes we just don't question why. It's because they've always been done that way. Well, that's the way I was shown, and we just fail to question. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to start questioning. Now, you should never do this disrespectfully. It's not about breaking laws or changing rules or objecting to everything. It's about questioning. It's about asking, I wonder why we've done it that way. I wonder if there's a better way. And, eventually you'll get to a point where you can make a decision and go, yeah, no, that was the best way, and I'm going to continue to do it that way. Or sometimes we may find a better way, and that's really important to understand. The next biggest thing that may be holding you back is family and friends. Now, I'm not going to dive deep here, but I'm going to tell you, you might question me and say why, or some of you might already agree that that's the case. I talk about this sort of stuff a lot, and I'm not asking you to change your family, because most likely you can't without it ending in grief. And your friends, I'm not talking about you dumping all of your friends and going out and getting a new batch. I'm not that guy at all. Your friendships are very, very important part of your life. But what I am saying is that these people care for you. And if they care for you, there's a good chance that they don't want to see you hurt. And when somebody doesn't want to see you hurt, quite often they're going to hold you back when you set a goal or a challenge or go to do something that is outside of their comfort zone, not necessarily outside of your comfort zone. If they don't have the belief that you can achieve something, that will create an element of fear that they say, wow, shit, I don't think Paul should do that. What if he fails and gets hurt? But as you know, they're just working through their filters. They're working through their belief system. And they may not have the belief in you that you so deserve, or the belief that you have in yourself. And quite often, the best advice is not from family or friends. So, and disagree with me, I don't know, I'd love to hear you guys out there. Most times this is the first place people would go for advice. They'd go to their family and they go to their friends. But the reality is those people are there likely to protect us, and we're not going to hear the honest truth that we sometimes need to hear. I would encourage you, and your family and friends, but I would encourage you to get, if you don't already, to have proximity to those who inspire or encourage you. Dive your head into books, be around people who are successful, be around people who motivate you. Success has so many different variations and versions of what it is. You just need to find those people who do that for you. If you have a conversation with somebody and you walk away feeling inspired and like you can go out and get more, then you should be around them more often. I encourage you guys to, this is part of resources that we're going to go through, I encourage you guys to go out and find those people who can create that motivation and that inspiration for you. I also talk about things holding you back, about your stories. I am buzzing through this because I have covered it without showing you the slides, but it's really about those things from your past that you've always done that we fail to question. We need to question our belief system. I want you guys to Google, not right now, but after we finish today, I want you to Google, I don't know what will exactly find it, but I'm sure we'll be creative. I want you to Google Zig Ziglar and the story of the roast lamb. And it's an amazing story, and Zig, the other beautiful thing is Zig's, I don't think he's Texan or something, he's got this amazing accent, and he just tells it so well. I want you to Google that story, and it's about how beliefs and lack of questioning things that have always been done a certain way can lead us sometimes to a path where we're doing things for the wrong reasons. So question your beliefs and why. The past does not equal the future. The past can be many things, but what it will always be is the past, and it does not determine your future. I want you to think about the decisions that you make and the gremlins that are in your head. I've talked about this already, and I want to highlight my belief is here that you can do or be anything you want. The first thing you must do is make a decision. You must choose, and this is where most people don't. They don't get to the decision-making part. They don't get to the process. Like making decisions is critical in your life, and you will spend more time, unfortunately, failing to make decisions and then procrastinating from not making decisions than actually making decisions and moving ahead. So I just reiterate this here, lack of motivation. You must know your why. I don't know what motivates you. They are not my red toenails in the beach there. But find your motivation, detail it, create some vision boards, but really get to know why you're doing what you're doing, and making that a big part of your life. Number 3 in the process is seeing where you really are. We have this inept ability to either make things worse or make things better than they are. Very rarely do we actually see how they really are. So you must be honest with yourself. You must see how it is, and you must understand that you always have choices. I want you to think about who's controlling you. I'm going to break this down in a moment. So who's controlling you with their urgencies? I want you to think about who you spend your time with. And I've just got a question there. How many of you agree or have ever felt like there's so many urgencies and distractions and things from other people that are actually controlling what you're doing or not doing in a day? How many of you are you impacted by other people? So first part of seeing it as it is making sure that you see it not worse and not better. It's that simple. We must analyze, and we do that by asking questions. I want you to know that you all have choices. I love that little slogan there, is that there's no such thing as bad weather, just a bad choice of clothes. So how many of you out there, just answer in your heads, are feeling like you're being controlled, either being controlled by, situations or circumstances in your life, those people around you? It might be a boss or an employee, it might be finances, but in some form or another, we all feel at some points like we're being controlled. So what I want to highlight here is a little control targets, and in the middle, we've got the things that you can control. In the second ring there, we have the things that you can influence, and in the third and outer ring, we have the things that you cannot control, nor can you influence. And I want you to think, if you were just to come up and think of a way that you can remove stress instantly from your life, this is it. Because quite often we like to control things that are 100% completely out of our control. And we have this beautiful ability just to stress about them. We stress about the comments that people make. We stress about how people will think about us, feel about us, how they'll act, how they'll react, what they'll do. And the reality is that we create all of these stresses based on external factors that we have no ability to control. So if you're thinking about a situation and this comes up within the next period of time, I want you to think about control. Write this down, guys. It's really, really critically important. Think about, write those rings and those elements in there, things you can control. The only thing you can control in life is you. It's not other people. You may be able to influence other people, but you can never control. And the sooner that you learn, and not just learn, because I know a lot of you know that already, but the sooner that you actually implement and start being aware of this on a daily basis, you will instantly remove significant amounts of stress from your life. I want you to think about where you're spending your time at the moment. We're talking about time management and distraction here. I've got another time target, and I'll give you the opportunity to go through these later again. We have a whole host of things. We talked about this in the stats, that in our life we have things that are not urgent and they're not important. We have a lot of things that might seem urgent, so they come at us, but they're not really important. There's things that we feel that we have to do now, immediately, and they create a stress. We have things that are genuinely urgent and important. And we will spend a lot of time here, and if we're really smart with our time, this is exactly where we want to be in these inner rings. We have the time target, which I've labeled there, called the zone. It's the things that are important, but they're not urgent. And they're not urgent because we've understood where they come in our life, in our categories, and everything that we've got going on. And we've taken the time to complete them when they needed to be completed, because we've removed all of the other distractions from our life. So you can see down the bottom that not urgent and not important is also known as the zone of distraction. Urgent and not important is the zone of delusion, because we tell ourselves that these things are urgent, but they're really not. Urgent and important is the zone of demand, and obviously the center ring is the demand. So I'd ask you to think about how much time you spent this week or over the last 7 days in each of these categories, and I encourage you to write those answers down. And you might need to think about this a little bit later today, so if you're smart, you're probably taking a snapshot of the screen there. So step 4 in the process is actually creating your massive action plan. So as we go through this, we're going to go through, and we've talked earlier about your categories, and now we're going to understand your categories and understand why you must understand your categories. We're going to make sure that you've created your compelling vision, that you know your why. We want to know what roles you play in each of these areas. We want to have a think about what resources are available to you currently or in the future, or what resources you can get. We want to make sure that you've created your outcomes. I want to highlight something for you about your big rocks, and most importantly, once you've gone through this process and created your categories, you need to live by this. Read it twice a day, for a minimum of 30 days, because we talked before about how those 30 days are going to be crucial to us creating a new emotional or physical routine. Now, I'm glad you're all with me, because I am dawdling here and going slow. I've got about 1,000 different things I want to get through with you. So we'll have, again, I just highlight that we'll have a chance for a Q&A afterwards if you guys have got the time to hang around. I'm happy to give you as much time as needed. So in your categories, snapshot this, guys. this is called a wheel of life. If you Google this, you'll be able to get this anywhere. So in our wheel of life, those outer rings, those different areas are what we call our categories. And from this part of the process, we did discuss this earlier, so this is just a recap, that for each category that you create, so these are the things that you've got in your life, and most importantly that they are important to you, is that you create your compelling vision. So each category, business, career, finances, health, family and friends, they must have a compelling vision. You guys have got to detail this and write it down. Now, I also want you to know that these categories don't necessarily need to reflect your categories. They are just examples, and you may have different categories there based on, what your life looks like. So we must know your why. So the first thing that you're going to do as soon as you've created your categories is you're going to write down your vision. After you've got your vision, you've got why. If you're able to, get your vision out on paper, you'll know why you want it. You'll know what emotion it stirs, why it's important to you. We're then going to highlight what are our outcomes. You refer to goals, and people refer to goals a lot. We want outcomes because I feel that we're more committed to achieving them if we highlight them as an outcome. It is an outcome that we're absolutely going to achieve. It's really, really important. And then the last piece there is that I want you to identify what role that you play. So what role you play around that is, who am I? Am I the person who's absolutely out there and has full control to achieve this? And we do that by identifying our resources. Identifying resources is what resources are available to you now. Who is around you to support you? What what do you have access to? So that might be, I'll give you some examples here, or let me run through them first. Where can you find the information you need, and what else can you do now? So when you finish this webinar and you've got all these things in place and you've got an idea of some of the goals that you have, what's critically important is that we take some action steps, and we will cover them in just a moment. But if, for example, I use getting fit and weight loss, or getting in shape, or getting healthy nutritionally as an example, because at some point everyone can can relate to it at some point in their life, or they've got someone around them who they know is going through a challenge or wants to improve themselves, or whatever that may be. So an example of a resource, if I wanted to start and I wanted to get healthy, or I wanted to lose a bit of weight, or shape up, or just get a bit more cardio fitness, or whatever it was in that area, one of the resources that I would be looking for is, okay, well, what do I need? Do I need advice? I don't really know anything. So could I resource and find myself a personal trainer? Could I find a gym, or a yoga center, or somewhere I'm going to train? That's a resource. I need to find the information, and I need to find the location. And these are going to be covered in a moment in what we call your 3 to 5. These are the things that you need to do. But when we talk about resources, I want you to list for each of the categories that are important to you the things that you can do in the next 3 to 30 days to actually put you on the path to achieve your outcome. They are the things that you need to do that will remove the level of procrastination and say, you know what, if I don't do this first, it's never going to happen. If I want to lose weight and I know nothing about weight loss or getting fit, and I don't go and resource myself up with somebody who does, there's zero chance I'm going to get a result. Now, there may be, you get what I'm saying here. I'm just highlighting know your outcomes. It's really, really important. I also want to talk about the big rocks method. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this story in the past. It's represented in quite a lot of books, and I'm not going to go into it now. But the reality is that if you fill your jar, your plate, your list of things that you've got to do on a daily basis, if you fill it with fine sand, which are going to represent a lot of different tasks, a lot of things that you've got going on, and you fill your jar with sand, you've got no ability to get anything else in. That's the only thing that's going to happen in your life. So what we want to do is we want to look for the rocks, the big rocks, and then the little rocks or the pebbles. And this is breaking it down really, really simply. But if I look for the big rocks, that's the biggest chunks of things that I can do that will help me get the biggest piece of my outcome achieved. So it's sometimes called the 80-20 rule. We look for the biggest things that we can do that make the most impact, that take the least amount of time. So just think of that big rocks. I want you to highlight and make sure that you're not filling your day with the little bits and pieces that really don't help you achieve anything, but they take all of your time, because that's what we like to do. And again, really, really importantly, is connecting with your life plan. and you must do this every day. Those of you who know me out there is that I have this daily ritual where I prime, and when I prime, it's just this. I'm connecting with my vision, my purpose, understanding my why and what I'm doing. And you must do it every day for 30 days. If you can do it every day for 30 days, I can promise you your life will be changed. I promise you, and I actually guarantee everything I do on that. But you've got to commit. You've got to be willing to do it. If you can do it for 60, you're going to a whole new level. Moving into step 5 of the process is weekly planning. We're going to cover some things I call capturing, chunking. We're going to talk about committing to things. We're going to talk about scheduling. Something that I always say is take massive action. And I've just highlighted here again, feel your vision and your outcomes every single day. When we talk about capturing, I want to give you a really simple explanation of what this is and how it works. When you fail to write things down, we have in psychological levels something that we call the rule of 3 to 5. Now, if you look this up, it'll actually say the rule of 3 to 5 plus or minus 2, which is just a bit long for me to write. So the rule of 3 to 5, I'll give you an example of how it works. I don't know the ratio of male to female on this, but I want to talk use an example of, there may be the ladies out there who have asked their partner to call in and grab the milk on the way home. And quite often, if anyone agrees with me, and I've been the culprit on many occasions before I learned the beauty of chunking and capturing, is that inevitably we're probably going to come home without the milk or something else that we've been asked to get. So a lot of people have the capacity to only remember at one given point in time 3 to 5 things. 3 to 5 things plus or minus 2. So for someone out there, it might be 7, it might be 9. For some of us, it might be 1. And I know a lot of people like that. So the rule of 3 to 5 and how we get around that is about we need to write the information down. Every time you have a thought, you have a process, something that you feel you've got to do, write it down. You heard the story about the notepad beside the bed and all those different things. I want you to get into those habits. There are heaps of digital tools out there where you can now do this, but the rule of 3 to 5 and capturing is write everything down. Every time you think, shit, I must do that, write it down. Hey, here's a good idea, here's a good thought, write it down, write it down. And sometimes people don't write that stuff down because what it does is it creates this monstrous to-do list, which we've talked about before, and we know with to-do lists is that they can be quite painful. So I don't want to create that level of pain, and I can promise you that writing it down, we have a solution, we have a piece of this process that's not going to interfere with any pain values and create this huge list for us. Once we've captured it and written it down, we then have the ability to let it go. And what that allows us to do is bring new pieces of information into the equation. The next piece of this process is chunking. Once you have all of your information down, think of this, that you've just created this capture list. I do this right throughout the week, and I put it into what I actually call a capture piece of, I'm using Evernote at the moment, but sometimes it's a diary, and I end up with this enormous list of things that I feel I have to do. Once we've got this list, we're going to block them, and we're going to block them into the categories that we created earlier in our wheel of life. So when we have these down, rather than having 200 tasks, what we'll end up with is things to do under the 8 different categories, or the 10 or 4 categories, or how many other categories you ended up with. We can really see on all of those things that are impacting our day and our time if they actually fit into our life. Now, if you've created your vision and got something that you're happy with, and you've said, yep, this is all the things in my life that are really important to me, and you get a to-do list filled with a whole heap of pieces of information that don't actually align with anything in your wheel of life or your vision, I would say that's a really good place to start about what's taking your time. So 2 things have happened if that's your scenario. You've either put something down and you haven't highlighted it, you haven't created a category for it, so you need to either go back and create a category, or you've created a to-do list full of a whole heap of stuff that you feel is going to make you happy or achieve something, or you feel it's an urgency or something that you need to do, but it doesn't actually align with the values that you've got set for your life. And I'd say this is a really good point where a lot of people out there can actually eliminate a lot of the things that we feel we need to do in our life. So this is a really important piece of the process. Then you're going to break it down, and once you get that chunked up list of things to do, just like we talked about the big rocks, we're actually going to go in there. This is an example of a chunked up category, but once we go in there, we can actually look at those big rocks and say, okay, out of my list, I've got 20 things left to do in this part of my life for this week or this month. How many of those are actually going to contribute to me getting the outcome? And they're the things that we do first, unless they're genuinely and urgent and important items. So we can start really getting a good list. And then when you put this into your diary or your schedule, or you do whatever you do, this is an example of how it may look. This is what I do. I just block in categories. So for example, for me, the green category, this is not my example, it's just one I pulled up, but the green category is my physical. You know, the red is my intimate relationship. Yellow for me is growth and priming. It's those areas. So I don't block individual tasks from my to-do list. I actually just block a category. And here's the time that I've committed this week to achieve that category. And then what I can simply do is I can pull up that list of to-dos and I can look at the chunked and blocked items and say, fantastic, here are the things that I need to do in this. And I can just do it by those that are the chunks, so they're the big rocks, so the ones that we can do. So we're going to schedule by a category outcome, not by an individual task. Does that make sense for everyone? I hope it does, and I'm sure if you've got questions, you'll send me a heap of questions. So the big part of that is when we get the vision and we're aligned with the vision and we've got the purpose, so which is our why, we've written down some goals, we've understand that we've made those goals compelling, is that when we get to the point of chunking, don't be afraid to create a long to-do list. I know I said in the introduction that you might have jumped onto this webinar with is about, I'm not going to show you how to create a to-do list. But what, and you may feel like I've just done that, but I haven't actually shown you how to create a to-do list. I've shown you how to capture effectively so you can take and retain much more information. And then what we've done is we've aligned it with those things that are important in our life in terms of our vision and our purpose, and understand. So every time I get a task, this is how I run multiple businesses and do what I do without having a stress, is because, and I certainly did, you know, in the past, but what this allows me to do now is say, okay, here's what's happening in my life, here is this opportunity that I've got, where does it align? And I don't even need to look at my wheel of life anymore, because I've done this ritual so many times. I know what my categories have in them. I know why. Every time I look at that, every time I see that green on my calendar, I'm emotionally taken to the point where I know what that physical outcome is. I know the vision, I know the purpose, I know the compelling reason why I'm doing it, I know the outcome that I'm trying to achieve, and I can instantly basically ascertain whether this is in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve or whether it's not. So that gives me the ability not to be stressed about things and not try and take too much information in that I don't actually need because it's not useful in my life. So I hope that has made a bit of sense to you guys. We covered a lot, and I've been talking, you know, relatively quickly for the last 60 minutes to try and get all of that in. So I want to recap. I just want to recap the things that we've gone through. I'm not going to spend much time here because, you know, I have already. So we need to understand our goal setting, which we've gone through, and, you know, replace goal setting with outcomes. We've, you know, we've got a good handle on that. We know that they need to be detailed. We've had a look at all the things that may be stopping you in the past. That is, you know, the belief systems, the people around us, the stories that we may have, the pleasure, the pain, the fear. We've identified and had a good look, and encourage you guys to have a look at where you really are. Quite often it's never as bad as we say it is, and sometimes it's just not quite as good as we say it is as well. So we need to be, we need to take an honest look at where we really are. We've gone through about creating your map, and I'll just break that down again. So that is your categories. That is your wheel of life. Break it down, create each category, create a compelling vision for every category, and a why. What's your purpose? Why is the reason that that vision is important to you? Create your rules, your roles and your responsibilities and your resources. If I've set this goal, what do I need to do now to achieve it? What resources do I have around me to actually take action and implement this? I'm sure that you guys out there have got one or two things that you are trying to achieve, or a goal that you've probably thought of during this process. And hopefully I've shifted a few of you to go, you know what, I can do that, and I'm going to take action on that. So it's critical now that you write down, you know, 2 or 3 things, I say 3 to 5, but things that you can take away and go, you know what, if I do this in the next 7 days or the next 14 or 21 or 30, if we're really pushing our luck, if I do that, I'll be taking massive steps forward to actually achieving, and we'll be on that massive action plan. The last section that we covered there, the last part of the process, is your weekly planning, and that's where we go through the capturing. We capture what we need. I've got a jet flying over. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that. That's awesome. But we go through the weekly planning, capture, chunk, big rocks. So we're identifying those big rocks, those pieces that are going to make. Think of the 80-20 rule. The most impact for the least amount of, not necessarily the least amount of effort, but the most impact. And you know, if you've got a list of 20 things, I would absolutely be looking at what 3 things do I need to do today to achieve this week's outcome, and look at that for the whole process. So basically, that's that's it, guys. That's part of the mastering your time and growing your business and getting your lifestyle back, or not necessarily sacrificing your lifestyle. It's something that I've used and have delivered many times to a lot of people out there, and I can tell you that every time we've got significant results when people follow this process. It's not an easy process. I'll put my hand up and say I felt like an alien when I was doing this the first time. That's why that 30-day process is really important. It's an important part to integrate into everything that you're doing here. So I want to go over and just continue on, guys. You know that I feel like when you leave this webinar, I'm hoping you agree with me that you've got some great information from me. If you're someone who's not done this process before, if you don't have a detailed vision and created a plan, sometimes it can be really overwhelming. I know for me, the first time I did it, I did a 10-day process when I learned this, and I kept on getting stuck. Day 4, day 4, day 4, day 4. It was really challenging. So I know it can be overwhelming. I want you to have a think about what you can do about it, and I want to ask your permission. Is it okay now if I show you a really sure, fast, easy way to make it all happen with you, with a little bit of help from me and what I do? So I'm sure you'll just disappear if that's not the case. So I want to introduce you to this program that you've seen the branding on here. It's called Map Mastery. It's a process where if you join me, you're going to receive step-by-step instruction on how to implement the strategy. I say right now, I mean immediately. This is a long process that takes time to learn the skill and integrate, and I'm sure with a bit of help, this will be producing amazing results. The great thing about the Map Mastery program is that I believe you can start creating that extraordinary life sooner and instantly, and I do believe that firmly, that you can remove stress instantly and start living the life you want with a high level of awareness and perception and reality, a lot of purpose. So the Map Mastery program, this is something that I've presented numerous times, charging, those guys out there who have heard me speak on this before, I charge $1,497 when I do this for corporates per day, per person. This is a big event that a big process, the Map Mastery, that I've presented a lot of times, and I firmly believe the value. I've packaged it up, and this is something I'm pretty excited about. I've packaged it up into 6 webinars, very similar to this. I'm hoping to keep them to the same duration and not take too much of your time, because after all, that's actually what we're talking about. I'm going to outline for you what I'm going to go through in these 6 webinars. The first one is the Wheel of Life, creating your categories. We're going to spend a lot of time breaking down and getting real with what each of these categories are, how they look, how we should create our compelling vision, our purpose. We're going to then move on and we're going to do 3 R's, roles, rules, and responsibilities. There's going to be a whole lot of content and information that I'm going to deliver you on, setting yourself up for success and really making use of your wheel of life and your categories and your visions. We're going to spend a lot of time creating your outcomes. For anyone who's not really detailed on your outcome, who's not really clear on what those goals need to look like, that's a lot of time. And I say a lot of time, but we are going to move through it relatively quickly, but we're going to give it the time that it deserves. We're also going to go and talk about capturing in your hour power. So this is something that I do weekly, and when you first start this process, the hour of power is not quite the hour of power, because for anyone who's done it, it can sometimes be the half day process. But as we go along and we get better at this, we will reduce it to an hour, and as we start the processes, we're going to go through and create an hour of power. And what that really does is that's the process that sets us up for our weekly plan. And that puts all of this stuff into perspective about how we effectively plan and do, run our week, our life, and relate it back to, achieving those goals and outcomes that we've created. I'm going to throw a bonus week in there, which is I'm going to talk a lot about rituals and daily routines. And I'm going to share with you a lot of the stuff that I do, the people that I've been in the Platinum, the Tony Robbins group, the people who, are really committed to success, how they create the rituals and daily routines in their life, and what they are. And I'm actually going to share them with you and take you through them. And I'm actually going to expose, expose a lot of what I do, and you'll see the real me. Not that you're not seeing the real me now, but, you'll see what I do to, I guess, strengthen and go through personal development. So the total value there, sorry guys, I just went through that. Look, I'm saying those webinars are $297 each. Anyone who knows me knows that, I charge a minimum of $500 an hour to get started. So I think this is just exceptional value. I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to give everyone full support. So I'm going to give every person who takes this program up, and I am going to limit this program, so I'm going to give everyone who takes it up, I'm going to give them 3 Skype sessions. That is 3 one-on-one Skype sessions with me to answer or go through any questions or concerns they might have using the program. So I think there's significant value in that. I'm also going to give everyone 3 months email access for any additional support or anything else that they might need. So basically the program for me looks like this. It's the 6 webinars. As I said, I rated them at $297, 1,782 in value. The Skype sessions, the 3 months email access, and all up, it's $4,282 in value. I think there's a whole lot more than that. I want you guys just to bear with me now and listen to a testimony from Shane Anderson. I spent this process, I've done this process with Shane many, many times. We did this just before Christmas this year, and he's been so kind to do a quick, this is just a 60-second, a 60-second video. So I want you guys to have a listen to this. Hopefully it works. No sound. Guys, let's just delete that. Let's delete that and come back to it. Like all good things live, that kind of didn't work. So we'll come back to that later. We'll come back to Shane and his testimonial. Needless to say, it was a great testimonial. He said some amazing things about me. No, I am just kidding. Another testimony from Kristen. Again, I asked him to write me a little bit of stuff, and he wrote me another novel, which I love. I'm just going to highlight a couple of different things there that when he went through the process was he felt he was being busy but not effective, and still felt like he was only getting 20% of the important things done. So he spent some time with me, and he said prior to that he struggled to do the important things in life, and he was overwhelmed with fitting it all in. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there who already feel like that and have gone like that. We went through some processes, and he learned how to anchor in what was most important in his life, and what he values, and how he can clearly ensure that he maps it out. There's heaps of good stuff on there. He says, my lasting thought of the day is our time is so precious. There's an unlimited amount of money, but there's a finite amount of time we have in this life. Yeah, agree. Something that we need to not take for granted so much. So, I don't know, some of you have already made the decision. I know some of you are going to jump on this program because of the value that you see in it, and having me run you through it, which is awesome. So I've created a couple of little bonuses in here as well, and those bonuses are something that I said before, that I spent some time with Steve Forbes, and I did this intimate group with Tony Robbins in the Platinum group over in Sun Valley, Idaho, a couple of years ago. And one of the things that I got out of that from one of these masters was something that we call the 6 financial dreams. And the 6 financial dreams, I'm not going to give you too much detail on what it is at the moment, but it's going to help you massively work out what your goals and your outcomes are in life and actually put a dollar value on it. Because when a lot of people talk to me, they say, hey Paul, yeah, I don't really know how to monetize that. I don't really know how much my lifestyle is going to cost me. And the 6 financial dreams worksheet does exactly that. Now, look, I threw a value on there just for the sake of throwing a value. I said $97. Look, that course cost me something like $49,000 to spend that week. I reckon there's probably more than $97 worth of value there, but hey, I'm just going to throw it in. Bonus number 2, I've got access to, a business partner, Jay Abraham. This one might not be for everyone, but I'm going to give you a free download of Jay's best-selling book called The CEO Who Sees Around Corners. This is something that Jay gives me access to let my clients and people that do my programs have. $49 value. I'm sure it's probably worth that as well, given he's ranked as the #1 growth and business strategist of all time. I didn't pop that up there for you, but there it is. So here's what you get. Basically 6 webinars that we're going to run through. We're going to do these weekly, so we're not going to procrastinate this over a long period of time. I want you guys to get outcomes. We've got the 3 Skype sessions that are one-on-one with me. We've got the email support. We've got the bonus, the 6 financial dreams fact sheet workshop. I'll help you work through that on one of those calls as well. We may even do a bonus session where we can, go through that, and I can show you how to do it. We've got the bonus number 2, the book there, the CEO Who Sees Around Corners. Total value $4,428. Now, I have people saying to me all the time, hey, I've done programs, I've done this, and I'm sure you think, and then may be true that you can do it another way. I don't disagree with you. There's heaps of ways that you can do this. So this has to resonate with you. What I've said today has to be relevant. So my thought process is, if you thought you could do it another way, you probably would have already done it. I'm assuming, am I right there, guys? A lot of people have tried different things, and this will work for you. I promise you, this will work. This is not a product that's going to leave you with a to-do list. This is something that you're going to actually create and help you create your compelling life. It's very, very important. This program has made massive benefits for me in my life. So, joining me on this program, it does give you the support to have your plan created using me as accountability. That's with those Skype sessions, plus the 6 one-on-one webinars. We're going to spend a lot of time there. You may be asking why. Why, when you come from doing what you do, are we suddenly going to do this program where there's all this one-on-one free time and added value? Now, I've moved into an area of my business that I'm in a different area. So I basically want your success story. I want your success story about how this changes your life, how this puts things into perspective. And I humbly ask for your testimonial. I'd love something written from you or a video or whatever. And I'm very, very confident that you guys are going to get massive value out of this. Also, because I'm delivering the program directly to you via webinar, as opposed to hiring a venue somewhere and doing it in person and having you guys all have to fly somewhere and not being able to make it because the dates don't line up. So this is going to be a really structured program that gives me the ability to help a lot more people. The other thing is, because I genuinely want you to succeed. I've used this. I use this for all of my clients. I know the results I get, and I'm 100% confident of the results you get. So you saw the value. Here's where I am today. There's quite a few of you left on this webinar. We had over 140 registrations today, and there's a lot going to be on today, on tomorrow, because I'm going to send you guys out a replay. First 20 people to jump on this, I'm going to do that entire package for $349. Now, I see exceptional value. I'm fairly confident you guys will too. My commitment is that over the next 12 months, I'll be doing a heap of events. I'm going to be running events, traveling around Australia and doing a heap of events. All of those events are going to be, varying in price, but I'm also going to give you what I call a mega bonus, and I'm going to let you attend a live event with me in any location valued at anywhere up to $997. So if I do an event that's $1,000 for the day, you're going to come for free. Absolute guaranteed. The next thing I want to give you here is I said I am so confident in what this is going to do for you. I'm going to give you a 30-day risk-free trial. So you are virtually going to complete this entire program and process with me. And if you still don't like it, if you still don't believe it's everything that I've raved it is and it has impacted your life like it's impacted mine, you can, no questions asked, ask me for a refund. Within the 30 days, 100% money back. You can keep all the materials, you can keep all of the recordings, everything that I send you, absolutely. So this is a ridiculous no-brainer. So the total value with the live session, sorry, I was just reading a comment there and it distracted me, $5,425. Today, I say today only, first 20 people, 349. I don't have a link on the webinar yet, but that's where you can go to get it. That's my website, paultrelaw.com/map mastery. Let me know if you guys have any issues with receiving that or being able to get into that. That's just a PayPal, guys, so if you've got a PayPal account or you want to jump on and pay via credit card or whatever it is, that's where you do it. So again, hey, that's it. I've gone a little bit over time, as I always do for you guys, but I hope you understand that that's just my commitment and desire to add value. And I hope you guys have got some value out of that. Just remember what you need to take away and do to take some action. I am going to send you guys out a replay of this tomorrow. So that'll go out. You'll get the replay. I think the replay stays on there. I'm just new to GoToWebinar, but I think it'll stay on there for about 72 hours. So you'll be able to watch again, go over and grab these slides. So for those guys, I would be fairly confident that those 20 are going to be snapped up before tomorrow. So let's go. The link's not working. Wow. Let me just check. I was just about to say, hey, let's go into some questions. So bear with me. I apologize while I bring my screen up here. I'm just going to find this for you. And yeah, sorry guys. I'm just going to edit. I gave you a bum steer. I missed something out. So let me come back to it. Here is the link. The link is map-mastery. That's my fault. And when you go in there, you should effectively see something like this. The Map Mastery program, that's on my website. So it's paultrelaw.com/map-mastery. My bad. Sorry about that. Like anything live, there's always the beauty of making mistakes. Guys, there's heaps of you still on here. I'm happy to hang around and answer some questions. Have you guys got anything? I've got Shane here. I did mention as well. Shane's beside me, helping me go through the questions and everything that we've got going on. So yeah, I'm just starting to filter through them now. So if you guys want to send in any questions or ask me something, feel free. Now, I'm again saying, okay, I'm just new to this, but I can see that. Just let me fiddle. You have unread hands up. People are asking questions, and I'm just trying to work out how to get to them. So I'm just filtering through these now. Yep, that's you guys telling me it's loud and clear, so that's all awesome. I think Shane's answered some of these questions. Second, anyway, yes. Shara, second night in a row to get to listen to Paul. I'm blessed to have you on here, Shara. Thank you very much. Kristen, hey mate, hi. Kristen just did the map, and how ironic that he was in the Map Mastery testimonial for me. Some of you guys just saying thank you. That's all cool. My pleasure. Yeah, thanks for your time. Outstanding. Thank you. Thanks, Grant. That's really appreciated. Zig Ziglar reference, did we get that? I think somebody answered that. Shane might have answered that already. Yeah, it was a story about roast lamb. I don't really know what it's actually called. It's just on a Zig Ziglar piece of information that I've got. Yeah, the roast lamb story. So you guys are all clarifying. It was just the reference. Hey mate, yep, the link is working. Yeah, that's awesome. So hey, I can't see any more. Thanks, Paul. Hey, Shane. Hey, Craig. Hope that was of value, mate. Hope Letitia was on there with you and you guys managed to get a bit of parent time and listen to that send me a message and let me know if you did. That's cool. Thanks, Tracy. Love Ziggler, Ziggler. Me too. Hey, so that's all the questions. I've gone through them all. Hey, Ashik. Thanks, mate. Guys, I'm gonna finish. I think I've answered all of the questions, and there's nothing specific there. And just yell out if I've got something wrong. So hold on, someone's saying, oh, okay, hands raised. Right. Sorry, Ashara, I'm just learning. I'm just new to this. So Ashara's got her hands raised. Ashara, are you still there to go through and ask a question? I wonder if I can give you audio. Let me just work out how to do that. I know it's actually gone. Your hand's gone down, so maybe you've dropped off. That's okay. There's heaps of question marks. I think we've gone through all of those. Oh, look, I just found a new button. I'm flying through this, guys. Now I can actually see what's going on. I can see your questions and your hands being raised. So yeah, that's all good. I think everyone's answered. Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, if you've got nothing else, I'm gonna sign off. So I think that was good. Hey, Chrissy, I'm in. Thanks, Chessie. Thank you. Appreciate that. Who's that, Jennifer? I have a lot to think about. Yes, you certainly do. Certainly experience some enlightenment. That's perfect. That's what we want, Jennifer. So thanks so much. All right, guys. Hey, Phil. I didn't see. Phil, yeah. With the category scheduling, yeah. Mate, have you got another question? There we go. It's just, I can't see it all. Phil, tell me what you wanted to write there. I think your question has come through to me and it's cut off. I can't really see it all. Put your hand up if you've got audio, Phil, and I'll throw the audio to you and we can chat about it. But at this stage, from what I can see, all I can see in your question is with the category scheduling. So you've got a question. You've got a question with that. I'd love to answer it. There we go. Shane's got it. Yeah. Okay. How do you work through the individual? How do you work through the individual items? Is that the question? Yeah. I might need to just question you there, Phil, and ask some more details. Are you specifically talking about the individual items in terms of creating your categories? How do you go about and create what those categories are? Is that what you're asking? Yep. Okay. Sorry, Shane's just relaying that to me. Do you list them in importance by items? Just let me ask you something. Are you talking about your categories? Are you talking about your outcomes? Are you talking about the capture, the big list that you've created and then split it up and put back when you've chunked it into a particular category? That's what I've got a feeling you're talking about. Just... Yeah, prioritizing and chunking. So when I write them down, Phil, I don't put them in any priority first. And what will happen is as you spend time going through this and getting better at it, that 30-day process, which may take a bit more than that as well, what'll happen is as you start to write things, and I share with you how I do it now. As I write things, I actually write in my chunks. So I don't just write one big to-do list anymore. I automatically know what my chunks are in my head, and I create, for example, I've got 14 different categories. So I actually capture what I'm writing down into the categories that I already do it. What I'm suggesting for you is not to try and put them in any kind of priority, any kind of level of importance, or any type of order. So what we're going to do is you're going to end up with, let's say you do this hour power on a Sunday, you're going to end up with a huge list of items. And I've been known to have, I mentioned 200 before, I've been known to have 200 capture items on my list. You don't want to be distracted by that list. You don't want to be distracted and stressed by thinking, holy shit, look at all this stuff I've got to get through over the next week or month. What we want to do is we want to get them out of your head and written down so that you can capture more ideas, more greatness, and be stressed. The only time you're going to prioritize that before you go through the process is if it needs to be done now, if it needs to be done in the current week that you're in, and then you're going to have to put it in your diary as a priority, and you're going to have to set it across and give it the 80-20 and say, is this more of an important priority to me than some of the things that I've already scheduled to do? or does it take precedence? And the way I look at that is if I don't, I ask myself the don't question. If I don't do this today, or if I don't do this week or this month, what will the outcome be? Will it stop me getting my outcome? Will it slow me down? Will it restrict me? And if the answer is yes, then I know I need to do it. If the answer is no, I could probably slot this in next week, that's when I'm going to do it. And every week I do that same process. I have 30 or 40 different things in each category, and then what's happening is I'm prioritizing each one at that point by a level of importance. So we'll go through this in the entire process, and it's about when we create that hour of power, we have a list, and then we prioritize that list in terms of what are my big rocks in here? What are the things that actually contribute to what I'm trying to achieve and what doesn't? I hope that answers it a little bit. Shane's got another question. He's just going to, yeah. I'm just finding these questions. Wow, you guys were quiet before. Now everyone's slamming the questions in. That's because I said I wanted to go to bed. No, you guys are awesome. Ashara, where are we? Right down the bottom? Yeah. Is the 30-day program from start to finish? From start to finish from Dave, not Cheryl. We're both watching. What is the package? Is it a 30-day? No, we're going to do it over. We're going to do it over 6 weeks. So we're going to do 6 weeks, and then what will happen is you'll actually get access to my membership site, and you'll be able to log into my website. And each week I'll load a new. We'll do them live, but I'll load a new webinar, and you'll actually be able to watch them. So it's probably a little bit more than that, but Ashara, if you've got any thoughts or doubts or processes that this is worth the value and you feel like, well, hang on, we've still got 2 weeks to go and I'm not quite finished, that's fine. I'll let you escape with your money back if that's, I know that's not what you're asking, but I just want to give you the confidence. I just signed out. What's the next step? Perfect, thanks mate. I'll just go through, I'll answer that in a moment. Yeah, the next step is I'll send you an email in the next 48 hours, and I'll give you the processes from there. Hopefully, hopefully that's okay, Kristen. Perfect, mate. Ashik, what if my non-negotiables are too many for the day? Yeah, I would question your non-negotiables and the requirement for them to actually meet your outcome. At some point, you're going to have so many non-negotiables that you're simply not going to get them done, and that's a reality, but in most cases that's not going to be the case. So if that's the case for you at the moment, Ashik, I would question what is the project and where does it relate back to your vision, and are your non-negotiables really everything that's required to get this thing moving, or are they, are you looking at a completion or are you looking at a next step? Because what people quite often like to do is they like to create this big list of things that they think, and this is about a belief system, this is about all of these things must happen for me to achieve this outcome. And very rarely is it the case that all of these things must happen. Quite often it's, okay, this week I can do these things, these things, these things. And yes, the reality is at some point in your chunking process, you're going to have to shift things. Things are going to come up that are in that urgent and important task that just get thrown on you. I know you've got, a beautiful young family, you've got things that happen. So things are going to hop in the way. This is not always about getting things done when you want to get them done. It's about being able to understand what parts of your life are priorities and not take stress when you don't get what we think is important done, because it helps us understand more clearly what important actually is. Thanks. Oh, Luke, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate that. We'll talk soon. You'll get the email from me, Luke, so that's awesome. Phil, do I chunk further than 1 week ahead, or do you break up a task into weekly petitions and complete it? So, yes, mate, that is correct. Do I chunk further than a week ahead? Absolutely. And I talk about something at later stages called project planning, and this whole process happens for projects as well, which you can implement within your business, and you can you can pull it apart and create this whole process for, here's something you might need to do. So within your business, how it works is that you create the category or the whatever it is you want to do. You might say, I want to develop a marketing calendar. We create our vision, we create our purpose, so our why. We understand roles and responsibilities, so that might be outsourcing to other people in your team, or it might be all yourself, or if you're a small business owner, once we've got our goal set, we understand our resources, and we create elements, we chunk down pieces of that have to happen within certain timelines, and we effectively create a project. And the beauty of using this system to create a project means that anybody can come up, they understand what you're doing, they understand the vision. Here's why Phil wants us to do this. We then understand the outcome and the purpose and what it means. We know the goals, we know the timelines, we know the tasks that need to be done, and then we can see all the lists, that capture list of all the things that happen, and that'll grow and that'll get added to. And then you can go through and prioritize those. And then there's another piece of this process that I didn't talk about, and that's leveraging. That's who can I leverage that to? Can I leverage that out to somebody else, or is it something that I need to take on myself? So that's a really good question. Who was that? Yvonne. Hey, thanks, Yvonne. Appreciate that feedback. Ashara, I think I've answered that. Yep, prioritizing chunking. Perfect. Jeff, thank you very much for registering. Thanks for hanging around, guys. I realise it's late, and it's great to see so many people still on here. Told you I could talk forever. Be aware when you join the program. I'm just scrolling through this list now to see if there's anything else that we need to cover or that we didn't. But either way, that's awesome. All right, throw your hand up or send me something if you want to chat now. Otherwise, we're gonna call it a night. It has been awesome. I've enjoyed sharing that. I'm really sorry that I may have talked for a bit longer than I promised, but yeah, that's good. I don't understand those little emoticons. I think that's good. Very helpful. Contact email. Thanks, Phil. Perfect, mate. Jeff, awesome. Jeff, you'll get an email from me shortly, so thanks so much. Okay, guys, we're going to call it a wrap. Someone who's got my personal phone number, yell out and yell out and send me an email if I leave the mic on after I've finished or something like that. Chamomile tea, gratitude in bed. Thanks, Craig. Hope that was awesome. You and I are going to chat tomorrow, mate, so thanks so much. Thanks for joining, everyone. Perfect. Henry. Yeah, emoticons. Baha, emoticons. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. This has been a pleasure. Look out for plenty more of these from me. I've really enjoyed this, way to deliver something to you guys, and I've got heaps more lined up to throw out. I hope that, regardless of whether you, purchased a program and join me on the journey afterwards or not, that you've got some amazing value out of this. Remember that I'm going to send out this replay link tomorrow, so you're going to get this and you can go through again. And those guys who have, joined up for the journey with me will get started. You'll get some communication shortly, and we'll get started. So thanks again, everyone. Have an awesome night, and this is me signing off.